Apple wrapped up its iPad and Mac event, and we've got the cheat sheets, of course, on Tech Republic that you should check out. But first, however, a lot of people, they're tied to their computer. So let's start talking about the Macs here, whether they're likely to win over professionals, and starting, Jason, with the Mac upgrades that were announced today.
Yeah, so Apple announced 3 products today. An upgrade to the MacBook Air, very popular among business professionals. The Mac Mini, which they haven't updated in a long time. And then the iPad Pro, which Apple's trying to pitch as a replacement for a lot of people for a Mac. Because for people that aren't necessarily creating video or spreadsheets or PowerPoints all the time, they feel like this device can do a lot for them, and they're pushing it more and more as a creative device as well.
Right.
That said, a lot of our readers, they're still very tied to their computers, and so they're much more interested in what the Mac upgrades have to offer. So with the MacBook Air, they've taken that device and they've shrunk it down a little bit. So it's lighter, it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit thinner. It also has a much nicer display. The internals are upgraded. It has a fingerprint sensor on it, which is nice, so you don't have to log in. And then it also has the new USB-C ports in there. So it only has those 2, so you have to have a lot of dongles if you want to connect to HDMI or storage or display or anything like that. And it does still have a 3.5-inch headphone jack.
Still got that.
One of the few Apple products with a headphone jack. And then the Mac Mini really looks just like the old one, only it's a little darker, space gray instead of silver. But the internals are very much upgraded, and it has a lot of the ports that are missing on that laptop. So no dongles needed. But it is a device that's meant to be like their very popular iMac product, but without the display. So you can hook it up to any display you want. You can hook up to multiple displays. So it's a desktop product. And they've sort of pitched it in some interesting ways that professionals can use it so that they can add that to their laptop. And like if they are making video, they can render all the video over on this device, on a Mac Mini, or if they're compiling code, they can compile it over here. So they've done a few interesting things to help professionals be more productive with that device too. Yeah,
a lot of options for them. And you were talking about the MacBook Air. Apple raised the price.
Yes.
Do you see that that's going to have any impact as far as people going out and buying them?
Yeah, so $1199 is the starting price now. And this was their one machine that was under $1,000. And when you have so many less expensive machines, especially Chromebooks, that you can get a really good Chromebook for $500, you can get a decent one for $200. Right. And so if you're just making spreadsheets, if you're just surfing the web, it's a really good option to get a Chromebook now, right? And so that price really raises the bar on like who's going to want to get one of these machines. Now, professionals or companies that are handing these out, they are still likely to make this their probably preferred machine over a Pro, or even the old kind of MacBook, which is $100 more expensive even than this MacBook Air. So they are likely to be popular among professionals, popular among businesses that are buying these and handing them out to companies. But you have to think that this makes it shrinks the size of that market even more because of moving the price tag that much higher.
Right, absolutely. And the Mac Mini, of course, you were just talking about just a few minutes ago. It's been a long time since we've seen any updates to that one. Why do you think now? Why now the changes?
So it's been 4 years since they updated that product, and they really have they've gotten accused from a lot of professionals of just not paying enough attention to the Mac market, right? And those Mac Minis, if you weren't buying a laptop and you just needed a machine to to put on someone's desktop, and so they left it there, or to use as a kiosk. Sometimes people use them connected to big screens in their companies. People use them even in places like music, DJs will use them.
Right.
Other places. So without having a decent machine, that was not modern and didn't have the latest sort of power and strength that these machines have, people were looking at, well, I'm going to have to go with something else. So they really needed to do this upgrade.
Right.
They have also raised the price on this one though too. Like the base price,
$100, I think.
The base price was $499. Now it's $799. but that's still pretty reasonable for what you're getting.
Sure.
They packed more power into this machine. It can go up to 64 gigabytes of RAM, for example, same as the iMac. So it's a powerful machine at that price, and I think that they'll do well with professionals and companies with the new Mac Mini.
All right, and so with the products, and of course, factoring in the price increases for some of these, has Apple, do you think, given professionals what they need to stay with Mac, to have their allegiance there with Mac?
Yeah, it's a great question, because the one thing they didn't talk about is a new Mac Pro. So they're really high-end machines for people like video editors and photographers, a market that they have owned, and other kinds of creative professionals, a market that they've owned for a long time. And in the last few years, they've made some missteps, and they haven't served this market very well. And so it's hurt them in that a lot of those folks have moved to Windows machines because there just wasn't a good Mac. The last Mac Pro was this thing that looked really cool. They called it a trash can Mac.
Right.
But it was not very functional. You couldn't upgrade it. You couldn't really do much with it. They didn't keep it updated very often. So what they really need to do is make a really good traditional tower, nice silver, all aluminum tower like they did a few years ago. Make it upgradable, make it expandable so that professionals can use these machines. Because otherwise, they really are migrating more to Windows machines out of necessity, because Apple just doesn't have a product they can use. They tried with the iMac Pro, which is super expensive, but a lot of these professionals, they want to use multiple monitors. They want to be able to upgrade the RAM and the storage and other things, and Apple just hasn't given them a product that really fits their needs for a number of years, and so they've got work to do there. And we'll see in 2019, because this is likely the last Apple announcement for this year.
For more on the Apple event and our cheat sheets on all three products, just check out Tech Republic, and don't forget to subscribe to our Top Stories of the Day newsletter.